Seconds out, delighted to be joined by former prizefighter winner Robert Lloyd Taylor. Don't look in bad shape from here. I know it's only halfway up on Zoom, but you look like you could go right now.
You know what? Since lockdown, I've had time to myself, so I started training back again. But it's been about 5 years since I started training properly, so I'm starting to get back into shape.
Yeah, your last fight was 5 years ago, although that was just kind of seemed like a one-off comeback because you'd seemingly retired. I think it was like 2012, and then a few years later decided to come back. You only had that one fight with Dwayne Green. Just tell us what that was all about. Why you came back and it was only one fight in the end.
Well, I'm always pondering retiring around about that stage, and then I came back. I had the fight with Dwayne Green. I kind of I didn't underestimate him, but I forgot what it was to put all that work in again. So I lost that on points by 1 point. Although I thought I won it, I nicked it. I still say fair play to him because he came and he just non-stop give it his best he had. So I'd put my hands up, say fair enough. He was a better man of the night. He got the win. I was going to fight again, but then I cracked my rib. I was hoping to get the David Hay undercard. So it's 6 weeks after I'd cracked my rib. So I was going to fight. And then when I didn't get on the David Hay card, I just weighed up and I just thought, no, it's about that time now, picking up more injuries and stuff. So I said, I think now's the time to let it go. And I had my trainers and my manager's license for a year already anyway. So then I thought, now it's time to start acting.
And taking you back to the start, obviously you had quite an up and down career. You were matched quite tough early on. You were never you weren't always in the home corner, it's fair to say. Then you built I think it's like 7 or 8 fights in a row that you won, decent enough company. And then you came across James Hare, who was former Commonwealth and WBF champion. Back when WBF actually did mean something. I'm not saying it was ever up there with the big four, but meant more than it does now, certainly. And he was favoured to win that fight. It was only a 6-rounder. He was rebuilding after losing to the British champion at the time, David Barnes. And you upset the odds. Just tell us the story behind that one.
That was my biggest win to date. Over Prizefighter. I rate that. Not really a lot of people knew about that, but I trained for three bad weeks for that fight. I was with Adam at the time, and he wanted to pull me out because I sparred with Ted Bammy, and he hit me on my eardrum. He perforated my eardrum. I had a strained pec and a bruised knuckle, so I couldn't close my hand properly. And Adam was like, I can't let you go ahead with the fight, so he's going to pull me out. But I said, please, Adam, I've got this. I'll do what I need to do, and I'll get the fight won. So he let me go ahead, begrudgingly. But, I had extra motivation as well because everyone was writing me off, saying, James Hare, England left, he'd play with me. And I knew it wasn't the case. So I had just about had 6 rounds in the bank and just managed to scratch it out.
What was it that gave you so much confidence going in? Because even though you were on a great run, James Hare came with the greater pedigree. Why were you so confident you had the style to beat him?
I've always been confident. I've never lacked confidence. I believe he was meant to fight sometime before, but I can't remember what happened. But yeah, I had 100% belief that I'd go and win the fight. So, even though I wasn't at my best, I don't think he was at his best. It was towards the end of his career. But I 100% knew I had enough to get the win.
Now, after that win, obviously it didn't go your way for the next couple of fights. You kind of hit your highest peak and then had a not as good run of form. Then Prizefighter comes up, but you're only a reserve to start with. When you were picked as a reserve, obviously you get a certain retainer anyway. Did you ever think that you'd be called upon, or was it just easy money for not having to fight, basically?
No, I kept badgering on to my then partner that I was going to get in, I was going to win, non-stop. I don't know, law of attraction, but I had it in my mind, I'm going to get in, I'm going to win. So was it a surprise? No, it wasn't a surprise. I knew deep down that I was going to get in and win it.
But even when you got to the venue on the night and you still, no one had been injured, you still weren't called upon, you were in the dressing room, just kind of waiting around. Were you still believing then? Was there not a point where you thought, well, we're near bell time now, it's just not going to happen?
No, because they could, at any point, someone could have got injured and pulled out. Although I was happy. Yeah. I was happy to go in at the start because then I get more recognition rather than coming in at the final and then winning. So that was my second attempt to get into Prizefighter. I did try previously, but because I was so inactive, they wouldn't let me in.
How surprised were you? Not that you got in, because obviously you believed all along it was going to happen, but the reasons behind it, the fact that JJ Bird, who was supposed to go into the quarterfinals, fainted in the dressing room, later found out he had some medical problems, that was the result. How surprised were you by those circumstances?
Well, law of attraction, it must be. But yeah, it was crazy how it turned out. I don't know if you remember as well, that for the first time, it's a new format. It's literally come in 20 minutes ago, someone's out, tossed a coin, I was in. I had to wrap my hands quickly because they wasn't wrapped. I had Mick wrapping my hands. Then I whisked myself into the ring because I hadn't done no warming up at all. And then I was sort of saying then, whisked into the ring, and then I was choosing the fights at the time in the ring. So then they pulled my name out the hat, I think first or second, and then we had to stay in the ring and then fight straight off. So not to fight Takaloo, like with no warming up, no stretching, nothing at all.
Had you ever done some work with Takaloo before, sparring or anything?
No, I believe he was meant to fight for Southern Over before, years ago, but I can't remember. It didn't happen in the end.
And you got the split over Takaloo, didn't you? And then got a last round stoppage in the semi-final against Peter Vaughan.
Yeah.
And then the final against Nick Quigley. By that point, obviously Nick Quigley, former really good amateur, unbeaten going into that final as well.
Mm.
Did you feel it was kind of your night though? Because you'd kind of positively thought yourself into the tournament in the first place and you'd won 2 in a row. It must have seemed like it was a kind of fairy tale by that point.
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't happy until it was done and dusted. But once I was in, I did see, I have this now.
Spare me 2 seconds. That's it.
And funny thing as well, Dan, I said about the James Hare, I trained for 3 weeks for it with Prizefighter.
Yeah.
3 weeks before, I hadn't been training properly. I didn't have a trainer. So I was pondering like pulling out. But I called Adam Booth. I told him my situation. He said, come down. So I trained 3 weeks with Adam, and that was enough to get me through.
So just take you back to the start of the tournament. You're sitting in the dressing room. Who is it that comes to inform you that JJ Bird's not going in the tournament and that there'd be a coin toss between yourself and the other reserve?
I think it's Eddie Hearn who come in to flip the coin, if I remember correctly.
And he actually flipped the coin?
I think he did. It was quite a while ago. Yeah.
One of the first kind of big things that he affected, I suppose. Who was the other reserve?
Nathan Wees.
What was his? I know Nathan actually. Yeah, what was his reaction like then that he was so close yet so far away, as it turned out?
Yeah, he looked down. He was gutted. He was gutted.
Didn't care, did you?
I'm sure, if I remember correctly, I gave him the choice to choose.
Oh really? Oh, you mean heads or tails?
Yeah.
And he picked wrong, clearly. Brilliant. So Eddie Hearn's to thank, and Nathan Wees to thank as well for picking wrongly.
Yep.
What do you think is the reason why you never completely capitalised on the Prizefighter win? It seemed like you were inactive for a few months afterwards, and when you did come back, it was against the Journeyman. Why was it never a big fight for you immediately following the win?
Well, I wouldn't say it's any fault of my own. I got offered to fight Lee Purdy for the British title, welterweight. At the time, I was with British Gas. That was on a winter shift. So I'd have to work 8 till 6 every day. So I done a deal with British Gas where that's going to give me 6 weeks unpaid leave. Once I got the fight announced or agreed, so I did agree to the fight. I kept chasing John Wish. Eddie Hearn called me as well. I speak with Robert Smith as well, trying to find out, has it been agreed? Has it been agreed? Is it going to happen? I think it was like 2 weeks ago. It still hadn't been agreed. So I hadn't taken the time off for work. So I was training around the long hours. And then I was just advised, you haven't put in the right camp for a 12-round fight. So, yeah, it's not best to go through at that stage. But I was chasing.
And what, an opportunity like that never came up again afterwards?
Funny enough, it did. I got offered Brian Rose for the British title at light middleweight. Yeah. I accepted all the terms. I wasn't happy with the terms, but I accepted it. And I just didn't hear anything at all. The next thing is fighting Chris Coleshaw.
Oh, yeah, Scottish.
Yeah.
Carslaw.
Yeah. So then after that, I thought, I've forgotten his name now, the journeyman.
Cooley?
Yeah, I thought Kevin. And I actually took time off for work because I thought I was getting Brian Rose. So I didn't get paid. And after that, I was like, what's the point? So I went back to work and I did box again for a long time.
Wow. Despite never achieving probably your potential, I guess you'd say, as a boxer, how much did you benefit and enjoy being around the likes of Adam Booth, David Hay, I guess George Groves at some point as well, in that camp?
Yeah, I benefited greatly. The experience that I picked up over the years, this is what I believe now. In my shortfallings, it's just equipped me so much better to pass it on to who I'm working with now. All the experiences, the different trainers that I was with, the management. So the knowledge that I've gained over a broad sector is, it's brilliant for the people I'm working with now.
Tell us about that. What are you doing now, and how's it all set up? Where are you based, and who are you working with?
Yeah. So now, as I say, a year before I actually officially retired, I'd already had my trainers and managers license. So I had one guy come to me asking for my help. So I said I'd help him out. So I started training and managing him. Well, I trained him for a year first as an amateur. And then when other people see what I was doing, in the space of no time at all, I had like 7 people I was helping. Then I started training the boxers. A few turned over. And then it got to a point where, we kept trying to go to different people's shows. And I thought now is the time to get the promoter's license, to stage your own shows, in our area, where it's better for the boys to sell tickets, blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, now training, managing and promoting. I've got a decent stable of fighters, all doing well. And that's where I'm really. We've got our own gym in South Harrow, New Kings Boxing. We've got the amateur setup as well, New Kings Boxing. We've got a good few amateurs underneath us. So everything's going well at the moment.
And tell us some of the pro fighters you're working with at the moment.
So I've got Fuad the Pirate, Fuad Hussein, the Pirate. He's a very good boxer, a lot of charisma. We've got Aaron Sinclair, the Sniper. He's another super bantamweight. He's very good. He's 4-0. I've just signed up one of my good friends, the Punjabi Pitbull, Sukhuna. So he's Punjabi. He's got a big story behind him. That will come out later down the line from him. He's 37. He's a former Muay Thai fighter. He got turned down for his license the first time round because he didn't have no amateur experience boxing. So he went away. He had 3 fights in the space of 5 weeks. He won them all against Islington, Harrow and Stonebridge, against good fighters. So then he went again. They gave me his license off the back of that. He was due to have his debut a week before lockdown on our second show. but then it got cancelled. He'd sold loads of tickets because the Sikh community. He done really good with his tickets. So hopefully we get them all back out at the end of the year. We got Lewis Lights Out Lie. He's a very, very good talent. Super middle, very fast, hard punching, plenty skill. Ryan Walsh, R.E. Walsh, because there's another Ryan Walsh. He had to change his name.
Yeah.
He had his debut on our show in Maidenhead. Everyone thought he won, but the referee see it otherwise and gave it to the other guy. But he'll be back. He's got a brilliant style to watch, very fan friendly. And Mitchell Preedy, he had a bit of a bad run for a couple of fights. He took a bit of time off, but he's coming back again now once the lockdown is lifted and gyms are back open. We did have Jack Hughes in the gym until he retired. He done well underneath us. We've got a big amateur, Ali Reza. Not too sure if he's going to turn over just yet, but he's done a lot as an amateur, cruiserweight, and he's definitely one to look out for as well. Big puncher.
What's the situation for you promotionally at the moment? Because for small hall shows, it looks very difficult to do anything without a live crowd.
Yeah, well, we're sidelined at the moment, but I have spoken to other promoters as well. So, maybe we collaborate further down the line later in the year when things open back again, just to make it a little bit more easier. But at the moment, we're not too sure yet. We have to wait and see how things pan out and then work accordingly from that.
Before we let you go, just how can people find your promotional company on social media so they can follow along?
We're due to open up a YouTube channel shortly with LT Promotions, LT Sports Management. You can find me, Rob LT, or Rob's LT on Instagram, Robert Lloyd Taylor on Facebook. Everything I do will be going up in there. New Kings Boxing is on Facebook and on Instagram. That's the way to get me. Everything will be on my personal stuff, all the links.
Brilliant. Well, it's been great to catch up. And fingers crossed, like you said, there's a show you can put out before the end of the year. And we'll look forward to watching it.
Yeah, definitely. It'd be good to have you down there as well.
Yeah, great stuff.
Yeah.
All right, mate. Well,
All right, lovely.
Pleasure. Stay safe, obviously, and hopefully see you soon.
Yeah, you too. Thank you for having us on the platform as well. Much appreciated.
No problem. My pleasure. Take care, mate.
All right, Dan. You too. All the best. All right. Bye-bye. Bye.